People who don't have playlists and just hit shuffle on their liked songs need to be in prison. You're gonna go from...
Got some bad news. We're all about to die.
2023 has been the hottest year on human record.
With rising carbon emissions, we need change. But how?
The best kind of change is sustainable. In order to create sustained change, it has to be the change that affects hearts and minds before it changes like law.
We only have so much time left. We need to take real action. Many countries in the past have taken steps towards a greener future.
So why aren't steps being taken now? How much more damage has to be done?
It's time to see how the place we call home is truly doing.
Carbon dioxide is a trace gas in our atmosphere and oceans. It is a byproduct of cellular respiration.
It is also a greenhouse gas, a byproduct of human activities.
It's the unnatural production of these gases that is the biggest concern, burning fossil fuels as the #1 source of carbon emissions.
Represented by the graph, around 70% of these emissions are carbon-based. Other byproducts are methane, nitrogen,
And especially F gases, because these do not disappear. So once they are in our atmosphere, they stay.
This graph demonstrates the monthly changes in temperature from 1880 to 2017. Temperatures can be seen going as high as 2.3 degrees Celsius of July 2017.
We have a local Oklahoma meteorologist to help out in some key details.
There are so many changes that have happened in my lifetime, and nobody was really worried thinking about using fossil fuels or anything else because you were born into it. Kind of how you guys are looking at it, just like, is this the norm? Because the norm seems to be changing. We're adding these negative things into the atmosphere and into the environment that are going to be causing problems for future generations.
Do you think it's essential for people in our generation to take action?
It is necessary that the future generations, such as you guys, will find a way to find energy balance somewhere.
If we don't change anything, where do you see our planet's health going?
I've always thought that if we don't take care of the planet, we're in trouble, no matter what. And I've thought that for a long time. I tell people too who are like paranoid of like, well, the climate's changing, everything's changing, and it's like, yeah, and it has for a long time. As we look forward, something needs to be done sooner than later.
Scientists say that to keep our climate livable, we need the temperatures to be around the same as they were during the pre-industrialization era.
During this era, it's estimated that the atmosphere is at roughly 280 parts per million. As of today, it's at 412 parts per million and rising.
In 2014, the top carbon emitters were China, the US, India, and the European Union. The United Nations Kyoto Protocol urged 37 industrialized countries to reduce their emissions, but it places no restrictions on economic powers like China and the US. Since the United States rejected this
because of a potential damage to the economy.
And China wasn't covered in the terms.
Across the globe, those who can most easily adapt to climate change are wealthy and live in developed countries. It's unfair to ask someone to make choices based on sustainability when they're struggling to survive.
The concerning factor is the companies within these nations.
This graph shows the percentage of emissions per category as of 2021.
When we think about carbon emissions, it's not uncommon to only think about the industrial side of things.
In reality, it is in almost everything we do.
While our emissions are inevitable, the surplus amount of it can be reduced.
What's now needed is for political and business leaders to take bold and urgent actions toward using these technologies.
Government moves so slowly anyway, and as technology and climate issues accelerate, what can we do to create policy that's sort of self-evolving?
It is well known that climate change views differ between generations.
Gen Z and millennials are reported to have taken action or interest in climate change, doing things such as protesting, contacting elected officials, and donating money.
There's a big debate between generations on the moving away from burning fossil fuels.
The actions older generations are taking are incredibly detrimental to this moving forward. They make these reckless decisions because they won't be here for the after effects and they won't see the consequences.
You all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
They are placing it on our shoulders, the younger generations, to fix their mistakes and clean up our home.
My generation doesn't care about the politics around climate change. We want productive discussions, realistic answers, and sound policies.
A national survey done by the Yale Program on Climate Change Communications proved this exact point. Majorities in both parties, Democratic and Republican, think that climate change is happening, but only a majority on Democratic Party think it is human caused. Younger Republicans are far more likely to believe this as well.
While older generations deny this.
You are still not mature enough to tell it like it is.
So the world is dying. What can we do?
Climate change conversations are often dominated by hopelessness and despair.
Actually, a large amount of things.
Many companies are a big advocate for reducing their emissions and moving to 100% renewable energy by 2025.
In reality, fighting climate change is an opportunity to improve human health, lift people up, and grow the economy.
But what can we do?
Great question. Simple things such as
Turning off the lights and using a reusable water bottle.
carpooling, walking or biking, and recycling.
We know you may feel small in the grand scheme of things.
But every action counts.
We, the people, have a say.
The burden of change should not be on us.
The government needs to hold those with power accountable. Demand change and use your voice.
To young people, you have remarkable power. The world is listening with open ears and hearts to our voices and voices just like yours. Stand for what you believe in, uplift the world, and don't back down. Climate change is about our future, and people need to hear you and us.
We didn't start this fire.
But we have and will continue to fight.